Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. If you are my pre-existing subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we're going to be covering and talking about specifically the U.S. economy. Now, if you are from somewhere else other than the United States, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will cover your economy for your country so that you feel included as well. I will probably categorize it under the global economy. So just check out for that video, or I could just, remind you when that video does come out, or you can hit the bell icon to be subscribed and you'll be notified when the next video comes out. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into that. So this video is being recorded on July 12th, 2023 at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, exactly on the dot. All right. Now, here are some quick disclaimers. Feel free to read them on your own time. I will not be reading them to you. Just screenshot the video or pause it just to read it if you would like. Now, please keep in mind this video is just for entertainment purposes only and for education purposes only as well. I'm also not providing any sort of financial advice. I am not responsible for any financial advice that you take away from this video. Just make sure moving forward, as you are full aware that by watching this video, you are fully aware that I am not responsible for any decisions that you make outside of this YouTube video. And here are some last remaining disclaimers. All right, so right now I found out from some other people that, if you don't eat when you're doing a tarot card reading, so like just say like I didn't eat all day today, right? I didn't eat, yeah. I just woke up, did my facial skincare and stuff like that, and now I'm sitting here doing a YouTube video. So apparently, if you don't eat, it heightens your intuition. So we're gonna find out today. So we do have some really weird questions that were just based on intuition or challenge that I was getting while I was writing the questions down. There's not too many, but if you want to kind of find out what I'll be covering in this video, go to the description or the comment section and look for the timestamp, and you can jump to that section of this video. So let's just begin. So the first question is, where is the United States economy heading within the next 5 years? So let's take a look. Okay, oops. I don't know how that showed up. Anyway, let's begin. So where's the United States economy heading within the next 5 years? First angel, tell me, where's the United States economy currently heading within the next 5 years? Okay. So a lot of you guys, if you guys remembered, I spoke about how the economy kind of does really bad and we have like a food crisis and we have like high inflation or stuff like that. I also spoke how that period, that era is going to come to an eventual end during the mid 20s, and then we enter that stage again during the late 20s. So it appears that that is still the case, but we're going to do the reading and kind of see if that has changed over the course of the past couple of months that I had not read on this topic. So we're going to find out right now. So the first card that we have here is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have the nine of wands reversed. And the 9 of wands reversed in this aspect is indicating to me the lack of pushback. A lot of people, if you compare it to, just say, France, right? A lot of the French people are pushing back against their government when the government does them wrong or does them dirty. The United States, when it comes to Americans, they're so busy that they don't take time out of themselves to fight for themselves. It's almost like they're so tactile. That's what I would describe Americans. They're very tactile. They think they're alpha, but they're actually tactile. They don't really think about what is within their best interest. They just think about, okay, when's my next meal? When can I get this? When can I get that? They're not thinking about how can I get it long term? How can I get this? How can I get that? It's always about what benefits me, what not benefits the populace, so that I benefit as well. And that is what kind of the American society, the American economy is based off of. And that is because it was the way it was set up during the colonial time period when America was first born. The middle card here is the Justice card. So this is during the Republican type economy. So this is very interesting because the economy that we're currently experiencing now, according to the tarot card, is known as the conservative era. And the conservative era, when it comes to the U.S. economy, is talking about like conservative policies when it comes to the economy. Perhaps restraining, maybe cutting budgets, maybe, for example, under Republican president, they have a tendency to spend a lot on certain things compared to Democratic president, and that has been a historical record. That had only changed a tad bit since Obama with the universal health care, but it has always been the Republicans spending more. But the conservative card is indicating here that the U.S. economy is in a very conservative period right now. And a very conservative period is where there's going to be a lot of cutback, right? And it feels like right now what Biden is kind of doing, he is trying to put forth his what's known as the liberal economy. Right now, when I say these things, I don't even know if they're actual definition, it's just based on what I'm getting via intuition. The liberal economy is basically spending an astronomical amount while reaping the rewards of that. So it's basically what it's really saying in here is if you look at this aspect card when it comes to the conservative aspect of the economy, they're spending on money on, military purposes or Supreme Court justices or something like court cases filing, right? You will probably find this more so in Donald Trump or, stuff like that. That's what this is indicating. It's indicating on stuff that's not a direct necessity to the people of the country or the populace. It's just a necessity to the government within itself. The liberal economy in this aspect is indicating, well, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's make an investment in the populace. And so the liberal economy in this aspect is basically saying, well, hey, we have this money. We're always putting it towards the military, but we're never actually using the military. Why don't we put it towards something more useful or beneficial to the society? So more like universal health care or maybe like student loans or something like that. Something that helped a large amount of people with nothing to gain back from it except more appreciation, love, and loyalty within the workforce. And that is what's being shown to me here is that right now we're experiencing a conservative economy going into a liberal economy. And a liberal economy would be more so beneficial to the Democrats, at least particularly with the Biden administration, because he is trying to enact a lot of the policies that's going to enable the liberal economy. And the liberal economy, actually, believe it or not, according to what I see in the cards here, a lot more powerful when it comes to the economy than it just say for the conservative economy. And that is particularly because the conservative economy does not invest in the populace, and therefore it does not technically, not Reaganomics like we're a trickle-down economy, but in a way it doesn't really benefit anybody except the government. Whereas the liberal economy, it just benefits you and me and everybody else who live within that state. And that's really what this comes down to. It comes down to that, oh, hey, well, now I don't have to spend money on healthcare because now I can put my money elsewhere. And so what that does is it revitalizes and subsidizes the U.S. economy to be able to allow it to be able to grow a lot bigger and more expansive than it ever could under a conservative economy. So if you were to compare it, to say, to an investment and you were investing in a stock market, right? A conservative investment is basically where you put a certain amount of money in, but it's conserved, which means that just say the economy or the stock market crashes, you don't lose everything that you gained. You keep some of your gain, right? That's the purpose of the conservative economy or the conservative stock market. When it comes to the liberal, it's that, hey, I'm going to throw a large amount of money. I'm going to gain a lot. I have the biggest growth, but I have the most to lose. And that's kind of like the benefit of both aspects. You kind of want to have the harmonious type economy. The U.S. economy should be based solely on the conservative liberal economy. So every 4 years, they should rotate into conservative to liberal economy, which allows them to freely flow the economy without having to worry about it crashing. The conservative economy can focus on things that are within the government that needs services or goods, whereas the liberal economy can focus on the people in the populace and investment into the society and what they sustain themselves on. And that's what's really interesting about the next 5 years for the United States economy is the change and switch from conservative to the liberal economy, which is very astonishing. I had never seen this lead in the past. Like I said, we want that temperance. You want that balance between both the conservative and the liberal because that's what's really going to help the economy. In the end, what I see over the next 5 years, what is 2023 now, so up until 2028, I see a very smooth going economy, specifically for the Biden administration. So the economy is going to get a lot better. It is going to improve. But right now, it's still in that conservative economy, according to the tarot card. So we are going to end up getting out of that eventually. But now, keep in mind that when the economy is doing really well, don't take this as entertainment advice. That is not a financial advice to any degree. This is just for entertainment purposes only. Take money and put it aside or put it in a bank with an investment value. So that over the next 5 years, or over the next couple of years, when the economy is really going to be able to do this, put money aside. It's called recession funds, which basically allows your money to increase over a period of time and increase its own value set, but also that when the next recession hits, you have enough money in your bank that you're not doing paycheck to paycheck. And that's really what it's indicating here, is just allow yourself to grow. The best time to grow is during the time when the economy is really good, and the best time to really shrink down and hold down and become more conservative is when the economy is doing pretty poorly. And that's kind of like where we are right now. The conservative economy right now is pretty poor, but if we're going into a liberal economy, it's going to allow everything to open up. So that's the perfect time to start saving, not spending. Spend during a conservative economy, save during liberal economy. So keep that in mind. So that's what I get from that. Find that really interesting. Never had that in any other tarot card reading. So far, I'm pretty impressed with that not eating. Okay. Who is controlling the economy? Now, this is very key. So in order to figure out the importance and why the economy is the way it is, you got to find out who is controlling the economy. Now, we're not going to say like George Soros or unless that shows up in the cards. But besides the point, we're going to talk about more so like, okay, is it Disney who is, perpetuating and has such a strong pull on the U.S. economy that if something happens to them, the economy goes under. So basically what I mean is, for example, just say, all right, so I just saw this brand new Twitter or news ad like 3 hours ago or less, where Taylor Swift is helping the U.S. economy from going into a recession because everywhere she goes, she brings in tourism and a high amount of money and, money into cities that are kind of struggling during this economy. And so they were talking about how Taylor Swift alone is helping the economy assimilate the U.S. economy. And I find that to be really interesting because like something like that is controlling the economy. She does not intend to control the economy, but enough so that she has such a high influence that she's able to do that in such a period where the economy is actually struggling overall. And that's basically what they're indicating here. Who is controlling the economy? That's what we're going to find out now. So the tarot deck that's going to be emphasized here is going to be the fortune cookie. I love this deck. Amazing. Okay. So spirits and angels tell me who is controlling the U.S. economy. Okay, interesting. So the first thing I got here was Ukraine. Oops, you guys can't see this. There you go. So you guys actually cannot see this, so I'm just going to pull it up to you. The first one is Ukraine. Ukraine, it says here, if friend needs your help, your kindness and excellent counseling skills will put them back on track. So what Ukraine is indicating to me here, that Ukraine is kind of stuck in the economy, and it's kind of go more global, is what I feel like for this specific aspect. That is sucking money out of almost every country, so that surplus that the country could be making is going to that country. So in a way, it's helping the allies, but it's also hurting the allies who are helping that country. So that's kind of what it's indicating here, indicating friendship. That's the biggest factor. So once the Ukraine-Russian war ends, the U.S. economy and all the other global economies should start raising up again. Let's say the U.S. is giving away $1 billion per year. That's a net gain of $1 billion back into the U.S. economy. Right now, that's probably going to the Ukraine. Now, don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure how much the U.S. is giving to Ukraine. I don't really follow that. But if that's the case, then it's $1 billion. That's a $1 billion net gain for the United States. That's a big difference compared to where we were now. So that is number one. That's the number one factor here. Who is controlling the economy? Ukraine. The Ukrainian war. The left side here is challenges. Take time out from problems or conflicts, or approach softly to avoid making matters worse. And that card is reversed here, and that is in the past. That means we overcome challenges that are in the past. So something like the pandemic, the U.S. pandemic, the terrorism that we faced within the country. It's talking about the challenge card in reverse because we overcome a lot of those issues. Now, let's just be honest here. We have not overcome them in a way where it's completely eradicated, but enough so that you don't really see them sporadically. Now, when I say the other aspect, the T word, which I just recently mentioned, that is still ongoing. It is still ongoing till this day. But when it comes to the other aspect, like the recession, the COVID recession, really what are we classified as, that those challenges has been long since gone, right? We have pushed beyond that. We are now past that. We are into the new era, right? That's where the United States is setting themselves up into play. Now, you can kind of see how that makes a lot of sense because this is in the past here, which is the challenge card, which is the COVID pandemic and the COVID recession. Then here we have in the middle, which is the Allies helping support Ukraine, the Ukrainian war. And then we have here in the future is society. Like, you know how I recently spoke in the last reading? Oops, we adjust the lighting, I guess not. We have the society. It says, say yes to the wonderful invitation coming your way. Excellent networking opportunities and new love interests for singles would be results. What is it indicating for me here is that society is what will control the economy going forward, which is really good for you as a consumer because you would not be able to just say, hey, I don't really like what this company's doing. I really don't like that they're doing like animal cruelty. I'm gonna go to another company that does not do animal cruelty, and I'm gonna support them because I like vegan products. Something like that, where you can actually now decide where your money goes instead of picking, the lowest, cheapest products just because that's all that you can afford. So going forward, you will have a lot more money. Your value of the US dollar is actually going to increase. So that's a really good thing as a consumer. So that would be the first time in the US history that the US economy, in terms of the US dollar value, would actually increase. Every day since we left the gold standard, I believe, and we created the Federal Reserve, the US dollar the US dollar value has decreased exponentially. What is indicated here, though, it is saying that the US dollar is going to increase over the next couple of years, potentially decades. And that's a really good thing, especially if you are somebody who works minimum wage or even somebody who makes a lot of money. But let's say you make about $15 an hour. That would be probably around equivalent if you do this today's inflation rate and you were to compare that back to around the time Obama was in office, that inflation rate would be roughly around $6-7, maybe $8. That's a decrease in terms of value. But just say you make $15 an hour now, and just say the value of the US dollar jumped up 30%. I'm just doing estimates here. See, I do not think any of this math is correct. It's probably not. Just giving you examples. Just say you make $15 an hour, a 30% increase, that would probably put it around $18, which means that $18 is the $15 is now worth 18, which means that you cannot go out and buy a meal with spending less money. That's what's important here. That is what I see for in terms of who is controlling the economy. You guys are going to control the economy going forward. But I really think this is really important. Yeah, I really like that. I feel really satisfied with these cards. I'm not even going to use this deck for that. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, so the last question that we have for today, we have two more questions actually. But, one of the last questions we have here, what is the period between two interval recessions known as? Well, this is really interesting because this is something that I channeled while I was typing this. I don't know. Honestly, it says here, what is the period between two interval recessions known as? So basically, think about it this way. You know how I talked about in my previous reading just before this one? I talked about how the economy ends up increasing and becoming a liberal economy, which gets a lot better. And then we enter into talking about who controls the economy. We said society in general. Well, in this aspect, we're asking about what is this period that we're entering right now into known as before we enter the next recession. So it's the mid period. This will be known as the gold era, the golden rush. We're going to use the tarot cards and see what this is saying. Why can't I speak English? No idea. All right. Anyway, Spirit Angels tell me, what is the period between two interval recessions known as? the period that we're entering in right now with the liberal economy and where the consumer base got to control the economy. And the US dollar value increases. Clarification. What is this period between two interval recessions known as? I feel like this is like a math question, is what it feels like to me. I guess that's what happens when you don't eat and just, your intuition heightens. Okay. So let's read. Okay, so the first card that we have here in the past is trouble. Like, we were in troubled water in the past, but COVID pandemic and stuff like that, the recession, we're kind of easing out of that. That's in the past card, right? We're getting into smoother, calmer waters. We had a lot of problems in the past, which is true. We had, as a country, we were really struggling. We were doing terrible, almost in every regard. We have here in the middle section, the current president, we have the Ace of Pentacles. Right, we talk about how the economy is still in a conservative era and stuff like that, and so in terms of the economy, we have the Ace of Pentacles reversed. It means that the government is not giving you handouts. The government is not giving you money. It's not supplying you with the necessities to be able to kind of like say, hey, listen, I don't need to pay my car loans anymore. Now I can take that money and invest it elsewhere. That's basically what the government is doing. Right now, it's not doing that. That's the Ace of Pentacles. It means that the government is not investing in you as the individual is investing in themselves rather than in the populace. And we have here the classification for this new era. It's going to be known, right? Because we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 6 of Wands. And that's all a symbolization of victory, a high economy. We're going to actually have a surplus of money eventually soon. That's going to be really good. It's going to be very similar. I feel like, if anything, the energy is going to be very similar to the Clinton era energy with like the technology boom. Yeah, so that's kind of like what I feel in terms of this next period that we're entering into. It's going to feel like it's the Clinton era with the Clinton economy, and the economy doing really well, and everything was pretty affordable, everything was pretty cheap, stuff like that. We do have the Three of Pentacles reverse. And the Three of Pentacles reverse is indicating a contract. But that contract is considered full and void. So it is going to be something that happened in the past that was some sort of agreement that is overturned, that in a way kind of helps stimulate the U.S. economy. Potentially that means going back to the gold standard, maybe getting rid of the Federal Reserve. I'm not exactly sure what that would indicate, but it is indicating something that is a turning point for the U.S. economy. We do have here challenges reverse. I actually would not be surprised that actually has to talk about or has to do with the Ukrainian-Russian war. Because that will also indicate, the end of that period. And now that $1 billion stimulus will go right back into the U.S. economy for entertainment purposes only. So it's possible that is what this is indicating here. We do have romance. Love is set to sizzle. Let the chance of romance is high for those seeking a connection. That card is reversed. So what this is really indicating to me here is relationships. Right? And the relationship here in this aspect, when it comes to two interval recession, it's the exact opposite of what we experienced over the last couple of years. The reason for that is that romance is all about love. And what's the opposite of love is hate. What we're going to experience over this next couple of years before this next recession, we're going to experience what it means to be able to afford things, what it means to be able to just live and breathe and be able to actually put money away and save money instead of spending it when the economy is doing really well. And I find that to be really good news. This is really good news. But when it comes to relationships as well, I do feel like some of the stuff that's currently going on now is going to tarnish some relationships in the future. Potentially that means within the U.S. government, whether that means the Supreme Court, Congress, the executive branch, the legislative branch. There's going to be some sort of relationship that's tarnished. Potentially that means the transfer of power from one presidency to the next. Maybe it means democracy. We don't know exactly. But there is some sort of relationship that had to fall out at the effects of this economy. Potentially that may mean, it may indicate, one political party pushing this idea, hey, you're in a recession, banking on a recession as the only policy to get elected or to be put into power to only have that economy come down crashing. I mean, not come down crashing, but the economy skyrocketing to the point where now their argument only elect us because we're going to put policy to help you financially. Well, those policies are not going to be effective when the economy is doing really well. And that is what is really indicated here as well, is that the romance card between the voters and the politicians who are promising those things are going to have experienced some sort of disconnect between the two because, well, the voters like, why am I listening to you if I don't need your help? I don't need you. You're kind of useless to me right now. And that's kind of like what it's indicating by the voter. While the other politicians who are currently in power are going to stay in power to say, hey, listen, we made this economy happen for you. If you keep us in the power, we'll give you another 4 years of this, right? That's kind of what it's putting here as well. The romance card is a disconnect between relationship. Potentially, it just happens under the Biden administration. This is going to indicate that the Democratic Party is going to experience a boom in voter population and voter turnout, but also not even that, is also going to experience high approval rating, which is going to be really beneficial from voters, especially going into a re-election bid in 2024. And this also puts the Republicans in a disadvantage because they need these voters to feel discontent and angry at the U.S. government in order to be put back into power, because they're not a very popular political party when it comes to the general populace. So that's what I see for the romance card. So we're going to cover today the greatest recession that will take place between 2026 to 2028 as a reference for when the era begins. So we talked about the next 5 years about going to a liberal economy and how that's going to benefit all of us as a society and to help us, and not the best time to put money aside, and how the US dollar increases and stuff like that. This is specifically indicating here the greatest recession. Now, this was a challenge that I got as writing. There's also a challenge that I got in the past, but this is just something I got just now when I was typing this question out. And so the greatest recession will take place between 2026 to 2028. So what that is indicating to me is during that time period, that is when it starts to show signs, or known as red flags, before it is actually declared as something that is occurring. So, it could take 2 more years beyond that to really say, hey, we're actually in a recession. So let's say it takes place in 2026 and the red flags start showing up. It wouldn't be declared or known until 2028. Just say it starts happening, the red flags start happening in the later years of 2028, then you wouldn't be known about it until 2030. And that's really interesting because it really indicates here, it really depends on our timeline and how fast we make this recession come, right? That's really what it comes down to, is that. So let's take a look. So spirits and angels tell me about the greatest recession that will take place between 2026 and 2028, when it starts to take place and start to have some sort of effect on the U.S. economy. Can you give us information on that? Okay, so this is what I get. During this time period, 2028, I believe, is when the next presidential election takes place. During the Congress or the midterm of 2026, we start to see the new Congress during that midterm cycle of 2026. What that midterm cycle is going to indicate where the economy is going for the rest of the decade into the new decade of the 30s. And what I'm seeing here is the first outlier, the first thing that's being shown to me, because the economy was doing really well under the liberal economy. I assume it's going to be taking place under the Biden administration, only on a simple note that I got him in the past that he's going to win re-election. But again, this video is just for entertainment purposes only. What we do have here, we do have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles is poor spending. Poor spending habits. That's what I get from this card. It's almost like we have a high surplus, and the country or the people that we put in power are looking at this surplus and say, where should I put this money? It's kind of like that. It's kind of that type of energy. It's like they're not thinking about what is best for the populace anymore, of what's best for themselves. And that's, again, going straight back into the conservative economy again. The conservative mindset was probably most likely the most likelihood to have a conservative economy would normally take place under a conservative president, which will make a lot of sense. And so I will probably say around 2028, 2026, during that time period, you will either have a Republican Congress during that during that midterm cycle of 2026, where we will have a Republican president in 2028. So that'll be really interesting to see how that will roll out. And so it'll be the end of the liberal economy and into the conservative economy, where the surplus of money that's been gained by the liberal economy is basically depleted entirely, putting the U.S. economy back into debt. We do have the left card here, which is which is in the past, excuse me. And this page of cup here is reversed, and that is indicating to me is a loss of hope. And what this is telling me here is that it's a loss of hope for the generation that came after us. So the generation that became, the generation who came after me. So I'm a Gen Z. So I think it's a Gen Alpha, I believe. Those generations are actually going to suffer during this economy because they're going to be leaving college. They're going to be going into college or whatnot, stuff like that. They're going to be suffering. While we all benefited during the liberal economy because they were still in high school, they didn't really understand the economy and the effect that it has on their lives until they leave high school. They don't really understand what it's like. They're just going to understand what it's like to have a poor economy. So they really won't know when the best time to spend. But the best time to spend is during poor economy. The best time to save is during liberal economy. But that's not always the case because that is not a financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes only. But also keep in mind that good deals tend to happen and take place during liberal economy. But that's not always the case because sometimes they have a tendency to take place during conservative economies when the country and the economy is doing pretty bad. That's when they tend to happen and they need to get your foot in the door. We do have the Four of Pentacles. What is up with me today? I'm sorry. The Four of Swords reverse. This is normally the end of a political career, and normally the end of something, especially, one country or stuff like that. It's reversed to the U.S. economy in terms of the surplus. It's reversed. And what this tells me here is that there is just a high surplus of money that is built up over the years, then now it's almost going to end up being depleted in the future. Because during this time period, we have the King of Swords, who is going to use this money for military purposes. I see subscription. So when I say subscriptions, I see war. And that's kind of a little bit concerning for me because I don't want to, alarm anybody. But this video, again, is just for entertainment purposes only. But, normally when a country spends an enormous amount of money, especially their entire surplus on military purposes, there's normally an indication that something is going on during this time frame that could be indicating the likes of war or the potentiality of war. So can we get emphasis on this, Spirit? Okay. So during this time period, we have the death of a politician, right? So we have the funeral card. It's reversed right now because it's indicating to me that this card reverse is indicating the period in which this person is still alive but has not passed away yet. And this card here is the Queen of Swords. This is a Democrat specifically. So what this is also indicating here, it could be possible that they could be going the JFK route, and that this could be what they're indicating. Because that would make a lot of sense why this card is reversed and why we could have the emphasis for war. Potentially it's a foreign country or foreign occupation that targets the U.S. president and puts them out early. And that could be what could be starting this. Potentially, this could be indicating here that maybe we might have more of a conservative type Democrat in the White House during the time this is taking place around 2026, 2028. And it possibly might just have a Democrat president instead of a Republican president in 2028. That would make sense to be on par with just a booming economy. And so it's possible that they could be experiencing some issues or problem potentially revolving around a foreign nation or foreign country, taking out the adversaries of the U.S. government. So it's very interesting that this shows up as the main reason for why we're going to war or building up the war chest. It's possible that there could be some sort of retaliation against it, against the U.S. government, but we'll see. Right now, the U.S. is around 258 years old, which means that in order to reach Pluto return, we need to be in 2024, right? So this would be right after the energy kind of starts slowing down after Pluto's return in the U.S. birth chart, where Mars shows up and Pluto, and those two indicate war and turmoil within the United States. So it will make a lot of sense why those cards will show up for this. Now, this is not cause for alarm. It can also indicate other things as well. It could be illness and stuff like that. So to keep that in mind, does not always indicate war. It could just also mean that poorly spending on the U.S. economy was trying to fund another war that we don't really need to be funding. Could be what's indicated here as well. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to cover today is what advice do we take away from this information that we've been given today? What advice do you recommend, Spirit, that we take away? So the first thing I heard when I placed down this card was just run with it. I don't know exactly what that means. It just says just run with it. So whatever it is that the first thing you thought of in your head, that's what the spirit guide is telling you to run away with. Whether that means an idea, maybe it's a business adventure, whatever it is, it's telling you to run away with it. Right. In the past, maybe you have not been able to, have mental clarity because we do have the Knight of Swords here, and we do have the Knight of Wands, and that you kind of never learn to put yourself first. Right. And it's telling you that here, and telling you that in terms of the overall takeaway of this U.S. economy, it's telling you that don't always be in such a state of worry. Sometimes learn to relax. Because it's also indicating here that if you learn to farm and learn to be around nature, you will end up finding internal peace. Excuse me, not peach like the fruit, peace. But it is also interesting that peace and peach is very similar in terms of connotation. But besides the point, you do have the Emperor's card here, which is indicating environment and women's rights. And so what it is telling me here is that learn to accept your freedom and to allow yourself to be free of all the worries and stress that you've been giving yourself, especially when it comes to financial. So what they want you to take away, the main takeaway of this video for you is, again, this video is just for entertainment purposes only and for not financial advice. I'm not responsible for anything you do outside of this video. The main takeaway here is just telling you, just focus on your finances and allow yourself to be free of all the stress and worries that it causes you. So that's the main takeaway, the main advice that spirit guides want to give to you is just cut those cords, cut those negative energy, cut those worries out of your life because they are not benefiting you anymore. There you go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked this video on the U.S. economy. We had a little bit of good. We had a little bit of bad. I hope you liked them. Let me know what you think. And whether you think my intuition was a lot stronger in this reading than it has been in the past. Let me know if maybe I should do more of these videos where I'm not eating. But I have noticed there are some side effects. I tend to stutter a little bit more often than I normally would if I just ate. But besides the point, I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.